Cryptocurrency is a digital asset that holds value. These can be purchased, publicly traded on exchanges, or used to make a payment or for products or services. So there's a lot of different cryptocurrencies out there. You know, we asked you if anybody heard about Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin is one of, I hear different numbers, 700, 800, 1,000 different cryptocurrencies out there. Some of them hold more value than others. Others are just getting started. There's many opportunities to get in and invest in different ones if you so choose to go that route. Lots of opportunity in it. Bitcoin is really the one that comes to the forefront. They're the first ones. There was an algorithm, or there was a white paper that was written by somebody, used the name Satoshi Nakamoto back in late 2008. It was made public in early 2009, and the original value was set at 10 cents per coin. And so it hovered in that 10 cents and 50 cent range for, I forget the figure, 8, 9, 10 months before it started really doing anything. And people were catching what cryptocurrency is and could be, and started investing in it. And the original investors that really got into it were investing in mining, and how you had to mine for coins. So they weren't really buying coins initially, they were mining for coins. And I don't want to get into too much about mining, but it was a way to bring the coins to market. Because on cryptocurrency is based on an algorithm. It's based on whoever writes that algorithm writes it for a set amount of coins. In the case of Bitcoin, there's 21 million coins. 16 million have been mined to date. And so what does that mean? 21 million, why 21 million versus any other number? Well, it just depends on who wrote the algorithm and what they thought the market could bear, and having probably no clue of what was going to happen with Bitcoin in the first place. So they set it for 21 million, 16 million of it are mined, and that's based on supply and demand, strictly supply and demand. So when I said the first coins were 10 cents a piece, right now, does anybody have any idea what the value of one Bitcoin is? Yes, sir. Right. Yep. It did drop then. Right now, as of today, it's about $1,170 per coin. So, kind of think about that. What happened to get to $1,100 a coin? So right now, roughly 6% of anybody that's on the planet knows anything about cryptocurrency or has even heard of it. Doesn't mean they know much about it. It's just a matter that they have heard it. So, you know, what's that mean? That means there's a lot of educating to do, and depending on where you want to fit in eventually into the cryptocurrency segment is how knowledgeable you want to be in it. But again, everybody is going to be involved in cryptocurrency in one form or fashion. And one analogy I'd like to use is there's a train that's at the station. It's leaving. It's the speed trains in Europe, the Euro that go 100 miles an hour. So everybody's going to be on that train. The question is where are you going to be on that train? Are you going to be on the front of that train or the back of the train? So the front of the train is for the early adopters, the investors, the ones that are the movers and the shakers, and everybody else toward the back of the train are going to be all the users and those who will jump on board just through osmosis, because as I said earlier, you will have and will be using cryptocurrency sooner than you think. So let's touch base a little bit on the evolution of payments. I mean, a lot of this is kind of self-explanatory, but if anybody know where the value of gold is right now? How much an ounce of gold is? Anybody? Ounce of gold? It's about $1,200, $1,300, somewhere in there. So a story that's always been said about gold is that you could always buy a good suit for an ounce of gold. So a good suit today for $1,200. 2,000 years ago, you could buy a good suit for an ounce of gold. And why is that important? It just conveys the value has followed a steady precipice through the years and adds a set value that is relative to the lives that we live. In this case, I use a suit as an example. So we started there, and of course, you can talk about other currencies. Back in the tea trade, they used to press tea in China and use that for a traded value. Wampum, and early before the colonial days, the Indians were trading seashells or wampum for beaver pelts. So then we got into the fiat currency system, which we're heavily entrenched in today. And if you know anything about the fiat currency system, every country on the planet is using it, some sort of currency, and it's not set on any fixed amount because every country on the planet is manipulating their currency against other currencies and depreciating them, et cetera. So that's always a challenge. But again, the difference between cryptocurrency based on an algorithm is it's a set amount. So somebody can write another algorithm and call it Tom Coin, and they can have 1 billion coins in it, but it's still a set amount. So then the banks got clever and said, hey, let's just write checks. We can charge fees, and you can write a check against what collateral you have in the bank account. Late 50s, we got into credit cards, and that's still the technology today. It isn't necessarily the savviest technology of the day because we've got something called a smartphone, and we're doing about everything on here. And as many of you know, you can move your credit cards onto different apps on here, or you can say to heck with that and switch everything over to digital currency if you so choose. And you can do that. We'll get into that discussion. So we're evolving. Payments are evolving. But so you got PayPal, you got Apple Pay, and others up there. But before you even talk about getting into the cryptocurrency part of it, even that last segment and the segment before, they're all charging fees. Fees. Last year alone, the banks charged $650-some billion in transaction fees. And guess who paid for them? You and I. You and I paid for those fees. We're the average person, average people on the planet, or some of those that are less than average financially pay for fees, because the rich don't pay for fees. It's us, it's you and I. But we're making the rich richer through fees in the banking system. So the banking, and we're going to get into that discussion, the banking is antiquated, and there's a better way. Because banks and governments are controlling our money. The value of currency is dropping. Spending, the value of a dollar today is 5 cents of what it was in the early 30s. And just because of quantitative easing and depreciation, printing more money. A house, and this crude example of $1,200 back in 1920 today is over $100,000. Of course, it depends on where you live on the planet. So, anything you want to add to that?
No, just a question for you. So quantitative easing, meaning the overprinting of money, right?
Yes.
So what you're saying is that my grandparents back in the early 1900s actually had the full purchasing power of $1, and today I have 5 cents purchasing power of that same dollar.
That's pretty much it. So we're kind of owned by the system. The system controls us. It's kind of like, I call it the 40-40-40 plan. Anybody ever heard of that? You work for 40 hours a week for $40,000 and get 40% of your income when you retire. So it's kind of it's a set system that we get caught up into because of the system. So, you know, you guys are agents of change. Are you going to live in that system? Are you going to do something different? You can take control, make a change, make it different in your lives. So where's money going? It's definitely going digital. We all know it's going digital because hardly anybody's carrying any dollars and coins in their pockets anymore. Matter of fact, we had to go pay for a parking pass to be here tonight for $1.50. I didn't have $1.50 in my pocket. So Peter had a little something in his pocket to pay for it. So I go out anymore. I hardly have any money on me. I go to Champaign quite a bit, and I pay for my parking with an app. So everything is going digital. It doesn't mean it's cryptocurrency. Digital just means fiat currency is digitized. But a lot of countries are going cashless and paperless, and as you can see on the list up there, so it costs money to run and to pay for the printing presses. Kenya, and that's circled for a really interesting story there in Kenya. They were using something called M-Pesa. Pesa means money in Kenya, M means mobile. So they're using something called mobile money. So what is mobile money? Well, they have these kiosks all over Kenya, thousands and thousands of them. It could be a post office or a store or whatever. You pay for with pesas. You pay for digits on your phone, and they're not even using a smartphone. They're using what I call a dumb phone, just a basic digital phone that they're transacting business. So why is that important? So people now have access to money. They can move money a lot faster. If in a lot of the rural countries and third world countries, they're living subsistence farmers, right? And they're moving, and they're much more mobile. And in some cases, the father may be working in another part of the country or across the county or across the miles, and he's got to send money back to his family. So what could be easier than send it on a phone, because everybody's got phones, and even many parts of Europe have bypassed the landline system, whereas we evolved a little differently in the Western world and went through the landline system, but they didn't have that benefit, so they've skipped that and went into the digital world